안녕하세요. 안정현입니다. Welcome again to Let's Speak Korean. The two people who've been here with us from day one are here with us again. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. 크리스틴입니다.
안녕하세요. Scott입니다.
Christine, you told us you didn't speak much Korean when you first joined us. How's your Korean now?
I still don't feel that comfortable speaking Korean, but it's probably because I'm not too confident. But I try to speak as much as I can with the expressions we've learned.
It's just a few sentences now, but you just wait and see, because soon you'll be carrying out an entire conversation in Korean.
I hope so.
What about you, Scott?
Well, I surprise myself sometimes because I feel myself thinking in Korean, which is kind of odd, but maybe it's good practice.
You
I hope.
really?
Yeah, sometimes.
You're becoming a Korean. Now, why don't we take a minute to review what we studied last time? We learned how to ask a question. What is your friend's name? 친구 이름이 무엇입니까? Then Christine. 친구 이름이 무엇입니까?
Scott입니다.
Very good. Now, when there's 무엇 in a sentence, it's usually asking about a thing. And you answer by saying something something입니다. I'm sure you all remember this. Now, why don't we get to today's lesson? I hear Scott's been studying ahead and he just learned a new expression. Let's find out what it is. And as always, when you're watching, listen out for that Let's Speak Korean sound.
Hello, everyone. This is Scott. Today I'm visiting my friend Lee Hyun-ju's office. Now, where did she go?
Hi, Scott.
Oh, hi, Hyun-ju. 이분이 한국 사람입니까?
이분이 한국 사람입니까?
아니요, 일본 사람입니다. 아니요, 일본 사람입니다.
Hi, 연주.
저분이 한국 사람입니까?
저분이 한국 사람입니까?
네, 저분은 한국 사람입니다. 네, 저분은 한국 사람입니다.
These days, a lot of large multinational companies are setting up offices here in Korea. So you never know who you might find yourself working with or what language they might be speaking. Well, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Yes, there are a lot of multinational corporations in Korea these days where people from many different countries come and work together. Now let's ask Scott what brought him here. What did bring you here, Scott?
Well, I first came to Korea to practice some Korean and try to learn a little bit more about the Korean culture.
Interesting.
Yeah,
And
so
Christine, what brought you to Korea?
Actually, I took some ESL language training in Canada, so I thought, what better way to put my theory into practice but to come to Korea?
So you're teaching English here?
Yes, I am. I've got a great job. I'm teaching English conversation and TOEFL.
Good. Doing something meaningful.
Yes.
Right. Now, Scott, compared to Americans, how are Koreans to work with?
Ooh, wow, tough question. I would say Koreans spend a lot of time in the office, a lot more than Americans, and also they're very hierarchical. Who's the boss and who's lower on the scale?
What do you think, Christine?
Well, I found that in the workplace, Koreans are more collective and community-oriented, and as opposed to North America, where the workplace is very much more individualistic.
So you find that a good point?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Well, why don't we get to today's lesson now? If you've been watching carefully, you will have noticed that Let's Speak Korean sound. Let's ask if Christine remembers it. Do you remember, Christine?
It was 이분이 한국 사람입니까?
Very good. Now let's review 이분, 그분, 저분 one more time. We already know that 분 means person, and it is more polite form of 사람. We also know that 분 is never used on its own. It always follows other words like determinatives 이, 그, or 저. Then let's talk about determinatives. 이 means this, and it indicates a thing or person close to the speaker. 그 means that, and it indicates a thing or person close to the listener. Now, 저 means that over there, and it indicates a thing or person far away from both the speaker and the listener. Now, why don't we practice the whole thing together? Let's say, Christine, how about introducing Scott in Korean? And you would have to use the word 이분, since he is
Okay.
sitting close to you, the speaker.
Okay. 이분이 Scott입니다. 미국 사람입니다.
Good. Now, Scott, why don't you introduce a cameraman way down there?
Sure, that's easy. Half of it's in English.
Right.
저분이 cameraman입니다. 한국 사람입니다.
Well done. Then, Scott, the person sitting next to you, 그분이 누구입니까?
이분이 크리스틴입니다. 제 친구입니다.
Good. And one thing to keep in mind, though, is that the question 그분이 누구입니까 can be asked even when the person in question is not present. This is because 그분 can be used to refer to someone mentioned before. Now, if the person is present, you answer by saying 이분이 so-and-so입니다. And if the person is not present, you answer using the word 그분. So you say 그분이 so-and-so입니다. Now let's listen to some native speakers for some more pronunciation practice.
이분이 한국 사람입니까? 네, 그분이 한국 사람입니다. 저분이 카메라맨입니까? 네, 저분이 카메라맨입니다. 그분이 친구입니까? 네, 그분이 친구입니다.
Hope you practiced along at home. 이분, 그분, 저분 can be very confusing, but if you keep in mind where these people are in relation to you, things will be a little easier. Okay, now let's move on to some new expressions. The expressions that we're going to learn this time is something something 도, something something입니까, and something something 도, something something입니다. Now, 도 here is a particle, meaning also. And it can replace other particles like subject particles 이 and 가. Let me give you an example. 이분이 한국 사람입니까? You can also say 저분도 한국 사람입니까? Now, in the second sentence, I use 도 instead of 이. Let's practice this together. Christine, repeat after me. 이분이 한국 사람입니까?
이분이 한국 사람입니까?
Good. Scott this time.
이분이 한국 사람입니까?
All right, now let's try the second sentence. 저분도 한국 사람입니까? Christine.
저분도 한국 사람입니까?
Good. Scott.
저분도 한국 사람입니까?
Good. The first sentence, 이분이 한국 사람입니까? means, is this person a Korean? And the second sentence, 저분도 한국 사람입니까? means, is that person also a Korean? Okay, now let's move on to focus in for some more practice. Take a look.
이분이 일본 사람입니까?
네, 그분이 일본 사람입니다. 안녕하세요.
저분도 일본 사람입니까?
네, 저분도 일본 사람입니다.
안녕하세요.
이분은 친구입니까?
네, 이분은 친구입니다.
저분은 누구입니까?
네, 저분도 친구입니다.
Now let's learn some country names together. There are some country names that are the same in Korean as they are in English, like Canada, New Zealand, France, but then there are also different ones also. For example, the United States is 미국, England is 영국, and China is 중국. Then, Christine, how would you say Scott is an American?
I would say 미국 사람입니다.
Good. Scott, do you know how to say Japan in Korean by any chance?
It's 일본?
That's right. In the skit that we just saw, you heard the expression 일본 사람입니다. Japan is 일본, Germany is 독일, and Australia is 호주. Now, why don't we practice with some pictures, because it's always easier with pictures. In this one, you see the Statue of Liberty, Mount Rushmore, Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. I bet you can guess what country this picture represents. Christine, can you tell me the nationality of this person?
Sure, 미국 사람입니다.
That's right. Now repeat after me. 미국 사람입니다.
미국 사람입니다.
Scott?
미국 사람입니다.
Okay. Then let's take a look at another picture. Scott, what do you see?
I see the Great Wall, and then maybe the Forbidden City down at the bottom.
Then tell me the nationality of this person.
중국 사람입니다.
Very good. Repeat after me. 중국 사람입니다.
중국 사람입니다.
중국 사람입니다.
Okay, now the last picture. What do you see in this one, Christine?
Let's see. I see sumo wrestling
Sumo wrestling,
and Mount Fuji.
Mount Fuji, right? So the nationality of this person would be, Christine?
일본 사람입니다.
Okay, 미국, 중국, 일본. It would be very useful to remember these words. Now it's time to go to Vivian for today's alphabet lesson. Vivian?
Hello again, I'm Vivian Kwan. Did you try looking at a Korean book or a newspaper? How many syllables were you able to recognize? Quite a few, right? Yes, I know it's not enough, but don't worry, you're going to get better soon. Okay, today we're going to take a look at the consonant 시옷, 지읒, and 치읒. And first, let's take a look at 시옷 first. Now when 시옷 is combined with a vowel, it makes the S sound. So keep that in mind and give it a try. So 시옷 plus I is 사. 시옷 plus is 서. 시옷 plus E is 시. 시옷 plus O is 소. 시옷 plus U is 수. Very good. Now very easy, right? Okay, our second consonant is 지읒. And when 지읒 is combined with a vowel, it makes the J sound. And let's give it a try, but this time a little bit faster. Are you ready? Okay. First one is 자, 저, 지, 조, and 주. Excellent. Okay, now our third consonant for today is 치읒. Now when 치읒 is combined with a vowel, it makes the CH sound, like chicken in English. Okay? Now this time, let's try it faster too. Okay, are you ready? All right. 자, 저, 지, 조, and 주. Very good. All right. Now, let's combine all the consonants that we've studied so far with the vowel a and read them in an order. Are you ready? Okay. 가, 나, 다, 라, 마, 다, 사, 자, 자, and the silent consonant ing, a. Very good. But you have to remember that there are 5 more vowels in your book, like ya and ya. So keep that in mind and practice them on your own, okay? All right, then I'll come back with more consonants next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Vivian. It's time to say goodbye, but before we go, just a quick recap. Today we learned how to ask, is this person a Korean? 이분이 한국 사람입니까? Christine?
이분이 한국 사람입니까?
Good. And we also learned how to ask, is that person also a Korean? 저분도 한국 사람입니까? Scott?
저분도 한국 사람입니까?
Okay. Let's remember these expressions, and until next time, 안녕히 계세요.